This is the commentary version of my no damage, all achievements walkthrough of Outlast Whistleblower on insane difficulty. The non-commentary version can be found in the description.
You don't have to wake up, but open your eyes.
What's the matter? Somebody hit you? Here. Let me help.
Andrew, you getting these alerts?
Kind of busy here.
It sounds like real trouble. At the engine, they said Hope made a lateral ascension.
What do you hope? They're not happy about it?
No.
Shit. Come on.
So unlike the base game, it is possible to unlock all achievements for this DLC in a single walkthrough, no matter what version of the game you're playing. And more importantly, you can use multiple batteries if needed, which also means that it'll be easier for me to guide here, because I'm not constantly running around in the dark and hugging walls like I was in my walkthrough of the base game.
Cutting it close. Next patient incoming in arterial spin.
They've got Gluskin out of this. Alright, finally. Where have you been? Functional imaging interface isn't talking to the ASL. We got a patient 30 seconds out and we're blind inside his head.
Call into the chamber. Ask them to delay.
No, I don't need another performance evaluation. Mr. Park here is gonna have us up and running before we even know it. Right, Mr. Park? Are we happy, Mr. Park?
Steve? fMRI is still dark.
You're doubting our friend, Mr. Wayland Park? Which I consider more than unkind to his programming skill and considerable dedication to the Murkoff Corporation. Fuck me, they're bringing him in.
No, not again. No. Jack Moody, Fox. Help me, they're gonna rape me. Ray. Help me! Don't let them do this! Don't let them... You! I know you can stop this! You have to help me! You have to!
Hey, calm yourself. This is a high security...
It's all right, Agent. Mr. Park was just surprised. I'm sure he's still calm and eager to finish his work. Take your seat. Quickly, Mr. Park. Head will need to roll if the fusion monitoring is not active when we put him in the engine. 5 seconds. 4. 3.
Arterial spin labeling is back online.
Good then.
Positioning imaging planes.
You're finished, Mr. Wayland Park. You can leave. Don't expect anything but honesty in my review of your performance.
You need to exit the room, sir.
FYI, there are only 31 collectibles in this DLC as opposed to the base game's 62. There's 18 notes and 13 documents.
Somebody's been telling stories outside of class.
On the floor! Down! Hands where I can see them!
Mr. Wayland Park, Consulting Contract 8208. Software engineer with a level 3 security clearance. Graduated cum laude from Berkeley, but still somehow not smart enough to realize that the last thing a fly ought to do in a spider's web is wiggle. Somehow dumb enough to think that a borrowed laptop, onion router, and firewall patch would be enough to fool the world's leading supplier of biometric security. Stupid, Mr. Park. More than stupid. In fact, that was crazy. I'm afraid we're going to have you committed. Mr. Park, will you willingly submit to forced confinement? Did you hear that, Agent?
He said yes, Mr. Blair.
Great. Oh, and did I just hear Mr. Wayland Park volunteer for the morphogenic engine program?
Well, that's what I heard, Mr. Blair.
That was brave indeed, Wayland. The Murkoff Corporation and the Onward March of Science both appreciate your bravery and sacrifice. Maybe you could administer Mr. Park here a light anesthetic.
Gladly. Don't you?
So here we get our first collectible, and it's automatic, so you can't miss it.
You think you're safe in there? Wallflower. Pretty flower. Fucking. I'll open you up. Open you up and show you. Make you purr. You wait right there.
As soon as you enter this corridor, the wall rider will materialize, so you'll have to return the way you came. Alternatively, you could just move around it and tank the hit, but this is a no damage walkthrough of course, so I do it this way instead. Close the door behind you and grab this battery. You can now continue as normal. The wall rider will be gone now.
Our peeping Tom. Come to join our therapy session. Here, take the blade. Keep it rounding our friend here. Get a little red on your hands. It's always healthy to express yourself. You keep it bottled up too long and you might do something you regret. No. You're one of those. Too good for the likes of us. Think you're different? Something special? There are no observers here. Now, get the fuck out of here before I change my mind.
After opening the door and reaching this point, the patient will stand up and begin his pursuit. Just run past him and don't stop. Once you get inside this room, the pursuit is over. Just climb into the vent here and pull the camera up. Head left of course and record this conversation until you get your next note.
Get here in time. We need help now. We get them on the radio. The National Guard could be here within...
We don't even know the radio works.
It's shortwave. If the prison's got electricity, they've got signal, then the lights are on.
Murkoff has under control.
Yeah, I noticed. We need to get to that radio.
Outside help doesn't come without outside attention. You want responsibility for every equally
dirty, shaky thing you did on the workout company payroll. I know.
It's too late to worry about that. This is just a facade.
You're scared. You're not thinking straight. Let me make something clear. We'll try the radio outside now. I'm gonna give you a whole new something to be scared of.
Don't worry about this patient here. He is friendly.
Help me, please. I'm a doctor. I need you to hold my... You're not security. I'm a patient like you. Stole these clothes from a dead body I found. You gotta get me out of here. Please, just push the button. Open the door. We can get out of here together.
Pull the camera up after hitting the button to get our next note.
No!
After leaving the security room, the wall rider will begin to materialise again. Just get to the decontamination chamber to finish the encounter. There'll be no more pursuits from the wall rider for the remainder of the game.
Another one's coming!
Head into this room on the right here to get our first document. For the purposes of guiding, I use my night vision here until I drop down. Contrary to what you might think, this room is completely safe. Pull the camera up here and record Frank in order to get another note.
Don't you look at us. I love him.
So our objective here is to find a key to unlock the handcuffs that are preventing the door here from being opened. After climbing over here, just run down the hall. Eventually Frank will enter the area from the left, but just keep running. He'll stay pretty far behind you if you don't stop. Open the door to the right here and close it behind you once fully inside. Open the door on the opposite side and climb up and through the hole in the wall on the right here to finish the encounter. Head right of where you dropped down to get another battery if you like. The patient here is friendly too. Grab a key from any given security guard corpse in the area and continue on. Don't forget this document here though. When returning back the way you came, Frank will appear a couple meters behind you. Just keep moving and you'll be fine. Once you climb back over, his pursuit is done.
Stay there and cook.
Of course, being put in the furnace is scripted, so any damage taken here doesn't count for the purposes of a no damage walkthrough. After breaking out, dip into the church-looking room here to get our next document. Climb up here and move around the small flame on the floor before climbing up some more. You can take damage there, but just watch your step and you'll be fine. Continue making your way up by climbing. Do a 180 here, climb again, and then strafe along here. Head left here and down the hall to get another battery. After entering this room and getting Frank's attention, leave the room and head for the adjacent one. Camp behind this desk for a moment and wait for him to make his way around one way before vaulting over the desk and continuing on. Again, you could just tank the hit from him and run past, but that can be risky and of course involves taking damage. Squeeze through the gap here to finish the encounter, and then head to the bathroom on the left. Open the middle stall and record the little discussion taking place inside. Then dip into this little room here to get another document. Frank will appear soon after vaulting here. Get his attention and head to the opposite end of the hall and into this room here before closing the door behind you. Camp next to the door and wait for him to break it down. Don't try to kite him around using the other door in the room as it's boarded up. Slip past him once he gets in, and head for the door with the blinking light next to it. Get inside, and climb into the vent to enter the encounter. Don't bother closing the door behind you if you're this far ahead. The vent here will give way underneath you, and Frank will start barging the door a bit, but it's all just to scare you. You can't actually get inside. Don't forget this document here.
Come away!
So Frank will appear at the end of this short hall, and when he does, get his attention and lure him back this way, and wait a couple seconds before kiting him around and heading where he came from. Climb up here to halt the encounter for a moment while we turn off the gas. Now we're going to head back the way we came. Go through the decontamination chamber and head right. Of course, go the opposite direction if he's coming from the right, though he shouldn't be. Just be prepared to improvise a bit if things don't go exactly the same way they did for me. He might see you here like he did for me, but just head for the decontamination chamber to finish the pursuit. There'll be no more encounters with Frank Monera for the remainder of the game. Once you're able to leave, it may be in your best interests to make room for this battery here so you can pick it up. And that ends the hospital chapter. Make sure not to use your night vision during this chapter, as any benefit you think you're getting from it is placebo. It's best to leave it off and save your battery. Deviate from the beaten path here a bit and record this open window here to get another note before continuing on. Don't worry about that patient, he's just there to create atmosphere. That jump scare there will always happen, it's unavoidable. There'll be two patients running down the stairs up ahead here. Just move to the side and stay out of their way until they're gone. They won't actively chase after you, but they'll hit you if you get too close. Go left here to not only get another note, but also to unlock your path of progression. Just record the man playing basketball here to get the note. After the man here attempts to break down the door, head back the way you came and the path of progression will now be open. There will be a patient coming through the now open door. Just go along this path to stay out of his way. He won't go after you, though he too will hit you if you get too close. Jump across here, go right, and then drop down. Stop just past this doorway and wait for the twins to halt before moving past them. Don't get too close though, or they'll kill you outright. I'm sure you get the idea by now. Once in the basketball court, run right past the patient in the middle and through this doorway. There'll be a bit of resistance from the two patients, but just push past them. If you do this too slowly, you risk getting hit by the moving patient and or getting killed by the now on the move twins. Once on the ladder though, the short encounter is over. Dip into this small room here to get the next document. This patient here is friendly despite looking identical to the hostile one from just a minute ago.
Don't trust them. They'll tell you it's...
And that's the end of the Recreation Area chapter. FYI, the wall rider and all the running patients here are all scripted and only exist for atmosphere. Once in this room, night vision will be useful again.
Leadville 911, what's your emergency?
Whalen Park, you couldn't just keep your mouth shut. You couldn't just play along. But you're done talking now. Do me a favor and die here, Park.
Once you're able to move again, head for the whiteboard on the far right and camp behind it as fast as you can. Chris will enter the room and you'll have to wait a bit. Once he gets to about here, get up and run past him and out the door. Alternatively, you can kite him around the desk, but that's more risky and he'll see you either way. Just keep moving and don't bother closing any doors behind you. Once you start squeezing through the gap, unless he's right on your tail, which he shouldn't be, he'll forget about you. Pull the camera up and record Father Martin here to get another note.
Another poor soul. Don't be afraid, you're doing his work.
After dropping down, dip into this room to get our next document.
Oh God, one of them's coming. It's not even...
You can dip into that room on the right to get another battery if needed. Once halfway down this hallway, Chris will appear a couple meters behind you and start chasing you. Just keep moving and he'll never catch up. Once you jump over this bed, he'll stop following you. Once you reach the end of the hall, jump out the window and that's the prison chapter complete. Make your way down. Please don't jump it. Then go into the building to get another document. Here, I decide to show a little optional jump scare sort of thing, but it doesn't mean anything gameplay wise and it's just there to scare first time players. Don't worry about any voices or ominous sounds you may hear in the game at this point. It all means nothing. Head for the small building up ahead to get the next document.
I need help!
There's no note you can get for recording Gluskin there, but I thought I'd show his initial appearance anyway. On to other matters, our next course of action is to shut down the electricity to the fence in order to progress. Record the fence here after attempting to shut down the power in order to get another note, and then we're going to return to the basement to shut down the power for good this time. After pulling the switch again, a patient will appear behind you. You'll have to tank the hit from him when making your way back, just don't stop moving. There is a way to avoid the damage, but I don't know if it's intended by Red Barrels for the play to be able to do so. Though, if enough people care, I can always re-record the video. Now, although this particular patient can open doors regularly, unlike most of the other variants, it's optimal to close the door behind you when leaving the basement to buy yourself some time. Once you get inside this building, the pursuit is over. Once you drop into the water, start bunny hopping until you get to the ladder. The game will try to scare you into thinking there's something in the water, but there isn't. Pull your camera out when making your way through here, and stop for a second to get our next note. This one is pretty easy to forget. Head right after vaulting over here, and jump across the roof. As long as you do some kind of leap, you'll connect with the other side. And that ends the drying ground chapter. Just follow my directions during this section. Your night vision will be very useful.
We'll need baby sisters. Maybe some girls. If we had a visitor, if we did, he could be our goat.
What in creation you talking about? He just likes to hear himself talk.
We need a goat.
Crawl under here to get another battery. Contrary to what you may think because of the audible dialogue in this section, you're completely safe until the next encounter begins.
A gift for the groom.
So make sure your camera is up here so you can record the hanging man in order to get another note.
If they catch us, you'll give us to him. The man downstairs. The man. Very bad. Very, very bad. God. Oh, God.
Kill the rats!
Before pushing the barricade here, go dead ahead to get our next document.
There's a big place around us. Water up from the sewer. Puts us on it.
After climbing over this wall, the first and only encounter with Dennis will begin. Just wait for him to make a bit of distance before kiting him as I demonstrate, so he doesn't do any unwanted shortcuts.
Wait! For once, we agree. He got away!
Vault over here, and then head right before climbing up and over to finish the encounter. Quickly record this display here before continuing on. After attempting to open the door up ahead here, the first encounter with Eddie Gluskin will begin. Unfortunately, the strategy I use skips his dialogue, but the trade-off is its efficiency. Just get his attention when he opens the door, and then start leading him as I do.
Did I frighten you? I'm awfully sorry, I didn't mean to.
Wait for a second behind this table here for him to go one way, before vaulting over it and the next one. This can be a bit risky, but you'll be fine if you time it right. The pursuit will be over momentarily once you enter this room. After leaving it, Gluskin will follow slowly behind you, but once you enter this area, you'll lock the door behind you and stop following. Another encounter with Gluskin will begin whilst pushing this barricade, but you'll have enough time to move it out of the way and leave. Do keep in mind, however, that even if you don't care about taking some damage, Gluskin will always kill you in one hit on this difficulty. Open the door and head straight for the elevator shaft. You don't have to do any kind of jump here. You'll connect with the ladder automatically, even if you just walk off the edge.
Oh God, you're okay. Tell me you're okay. You're suffering without it. Why would you do something like that to yourself? Rather die than be with me. Than die.
Please don't try to stay in the elevator once it starts moving, or it's game over. Do keep in mind that after this upcoming cutscene, any spare batteries you have will be taken from you, as well as the battery already loaded into the camera. Approach the door here to begin Gluskin's patrol, and then hide in the locker to trigger the cutscene after the fact.
Idiots and lunatics. The smell of my love's arbor. Darling, can't hide from me. You make yourself a gift for me. A delicacy to be unwrapped and unwrapped again. And savored. Here we go. I've been a little vulgar. And I want to say I'm sorry. I just... You know how a man gets when he wants to know a woman. But after the ceremony, when I've made an honest woman of you, I promise I'll be a different man. want a family, a legacy, to be the father I never had. I'll never let anything happen to our children. Not like... I have to wait here. I know you must be just as eager as I am to consummate our love. But try to enjoy the anticipation. Here, darling. This will help you relax. Darling, I need you to try to bleed less. I know the fair sex often endure the same wounds with more suffering, but you really need to make an effort. No, I'm so sorry, darling. Love isn't for everybody. Hold still now, darling. All these unsightly hairs. Oh, silky smooth, like a little girl again. Now the more delicate bits.
No! No, don't! Please!
Oh, God! You've given up. You're ugly. You've given up on love. You're not even worth stringing up. Oh, God. Bleed, please. And You have amazing bone structure, such soft skin. You're going to be beautiful. A woman has to suffer some things. It's not pleasant, I know. But just try to endure. For my sake. For the sake of our children. It won't take long. A few snips at the flesh here and here. Cut away everything vulgar. A soft place to welcome my seed. To grow our family. The incision will hurt. And the conception. And birthing is never easy. I'll make the cut fast. Just close your eyes and think of your children.
Get back here!
Record the bench here before continuing on. This is a very easy note to forget. As for the upcoming encounter here, just head towards the area between the shelving units and crouch down and camp for a bit. We're going to need a running start because of Wayland's injury. As long as you camp right here, he'll never see you. We're going to wait for him to make a bit of distance before making our move. So here, he stopped, so I continued waiting. Okay, so now that he's made enough distance, this is our chance. He'll always see you, but as long as you keep moving, you'll be fast enough. I closed the doors behind me during this pursuit, despite the fact Gluskin can open doors regularly, but you can get away without doing so.
Fine. Go! You and the rest of these ungrateful sluts!
Don't forget this document here. Now, of course, jumping out the window is necessary to progress, so the damage is of course unavoidable and isn't counted for the purposes of the walkthrough. Dip into this room here to get a battery. Our next course of action is to get the key to access the male ward. Record the ceiling once in the basketball court to get the next note. There's another battery in this room here. The last encounter with Gluskin will begin after picking up the key. Just head for the gap to the left after grabbing it. Unlike Chris, he can't pull you out. Push this barricade out of the way and then head for the room across. Close the door behind you to buy yourself some time and then camp behind the desk off to the right here. Again, we're going to make a break for it after he makes a bit of distance. He shouldn't see you though, but even if he does, you should be fast enough to reach the open vent and climb out unscathed.
One more. I tried, and I tried. You all betrayed me. You can hang like the rest of them. Heavier than you look. If this is you on the honeymoon, I hate to imagine our anniversary. Hold still. God damn it, what are you? Oh, damn it, darling. No, you need to behave. We could have been beautiful.
Record Gluskin's corpse to get the next note. So that pretty much ends the Vocational Block chapter. There are no more encounters for the remainder of the game. Look out the window here and record the burning church to get another note. Next, you're going to want to record the soldiers up ahead.
You want to check his pulse?
Let's just say he's dead.
Yeah. What kind of sick fuck would do this to someone? He even took his damn pants.
Tell you one thing. I've seen more than enough dick and balls tonight to last me a lifetime.
And not all of them attached to a man. Let's wrap this up and get back to the truck.
Amen.
Dip into this room to get another document and another battery if you like. You'll temporarily be able to run and jump again after opening this door. Dip into this room on the right to get the 13th and final document, and that'll net you the Archivist achievement. And then record Jeremy Blair before approaching him to get the 18th and final note, and that'll net you the Legacy achievement.
Let's make a deal? You help me, I'll help you. Help me up, please? Fucking die! No one can know! No one! Oh God! Oh Christ in heaven! How to get out! No! No! No, please! No! No!
So here, I do a showcase of all of the collectibles in the game. I leave ample time for you to pause the video and read them. If not, then there'll be a timestamp in the description to skip this section of the video. So that's pretty much it. As long as you didn't forget any collectibles and you reach the credits, you'll have earned all of the available achievements regardless of what version of the game you're playing. I hope you're able to find this walkthrough helpful, or at least entertaining.
You press that button. There's no going back, Mr. Park. There's enough hard evidence in that video file to make a world of shit for our friends at Murkoff. You got out of Mount Massive alive, and we've done everything in our power to cover your tracks. But our enemies are twitching and malicious corporate paranoiacs with resources you're too moral to imagine. You won't be the only target. Anyone you care about, your wife, your child, there'll be nothing to Murkoff but ways to hurt you. I need you to understand the bridge you're crossing here. You will do irrevocable damage to the company. You might even get close to something like justice. But once you click upload, your life is over. Everyone you love is fucked. But it's the right thing to do. Is hurting Murkoff worth that much to you?